Of admiration I actually have for China.
Why is this not surprising? Here's a headline. Trudeau government allows China to open police stations in Canada to monitor Chinese nationals. First obvious question is, if Chinese nationals need monitoring, why can't Canadian authorities do that? And I guess the only answer to that question is because Trudeau. It says here that on September 12th, human rights watchdog Safeguard Defenders published their latest report on the phenomenon of Chinese transnational policing. And who is this Safeguard Defenders? Well, it's a human rights NGO founded in late 2016 that undertakes and supports local field activities that contribute to the protection of basic rights, promote the rule of law, and enhance the ability of local civil society and human rights defenders in some of the most hostile environments in Asia. And it looks like they spend a lot of time talking about human rights abuses emanating from the Chinese Communist Party. Chinese overseas police service stations tied to illegal policing in Madrid and Belgrade. 230,000 Chinese persuaded to return from abroad. China to establish extraterritoriality. So persuaded to return, I wonder what that means. I bet it's not nice. Home becomes prison. China's expanding use of house arrests under Xi Jinping. Civil society call to end enforced disappearances in China. Enforced disappearances, that doesn't sound good. So this group has revealed that over the past year, China had set up dozens of overseas service stations, sounds like a euphemism to me, in order to police Chinese nationals living abroad, including 3 such facilities in Toronto. According to the report, Beijing has been attempting to combat the growing issue of fraud and telecommunication fraud by Chinese nationals living abroad, with 230,000 being persuaded to return to China to face criminal charges between April 2021 and July 2022 alone. Now I have to wonder, because I know that the Chinese government doesn't like being criticized, and I have to wonder if any of this might have something to do with, I don't know, maybe dissidents or people just criticizing the Chinese government from abroad. And again, I have to wonder why Canadian authorities can't handle this themselves. And I'm just wondering, if these people have committed crimes, why can't they just be arrested and deported? Why do we need Chinese police stations here to persuade people? Persuade them, and what is the leverage they're using to persuade people? On September 2nd, a new law was passed in China, giving the government more authority when it comes to handling online fraud committed by Chinese citizens overseas. It is set to come into effect on December 1st. One way the government keeps tabs on citizens in other countries is via the aforementioned service stations, which are operated by either the Fuzhou or Qingtian Public Security Bureaus. Not sure if I pronounced those correctly. According to the report, as of September 2022, there are 54 such stations located in 30 countries. While most nations have only 1 or 2 stations, Canada is unique in that it has 3, all located in Toronto. According to the National Post, the locations of Toronto stations render them nearly invisible to the public. One is listed as a private home, the second a largely Chinese mall, and the third in the office of a Chinese nonprofit. Seems totally above board to me. Let's see, China has defended the practice of setting up what are essentially police stations in other countries, saying that the majority of the work done there is akin to what would take place at an embassy. However, many are not convinced. I'm one of them, given the regime's record. And what is the regime's record? Well, like concentration camps and forced labor. Says there is more and more evidence of China's human rights abuses in Xinjiang. Let's see, in recent years, the Chinese Communist Party has arbitrarily detained between 1 million and 3 million Uyghurs in so-called re-education centers and forced them to undergo psychological indoctrination programs such as studying communist propaganda and giving thanks to Chinese President Xi Jinping. Chinese officials have also reportedly used waterboarding and other forms of torture. including sexual abuse as part of the indoctrination process. So between 1 and 3 million Uyghurs. That's not a mistake. Oh, they also like to weld people into their homes when there's a pandemic. And they got that social credit system. Says China's social credit system ranks citizens and punishes them with throttled internet speeds and flight bans if the Communist Party deems them untrustworthy. And that's not it. It actually goes into pretty much every aspect of your life. So yeah, given the regime's record, I'm not sure they're doing what they say they're doing. Because, say somebody's a dissident. They don't like that. Say somebody works at a company that the government might want some information about. I don't put it past the CCP at all. They might want some thugs on hand just to persuade them. But anyway, Safeguard Defenders pointed out in their report that while China's actions were taken under the guise of fighting crime, in some cases, citizens living overseas who had not been charged with anything were harassed and eventually persuaded to return to China. And hey, if you've got family living there, which you probably do, well, that makes persuading a lot easier, doesn't it? Let's see, Charles Burton, who formerly served as a diplomat at the Canadian Embassy in Beijing, warned that China was, quote, extending the grip of its Orwellian police state into this country, and slammed Canada's national security agencies for their lack of action. So, I don't know, what do you say about that? On a completely unrelated topic, there's this hashtag going around. It's hashtag trudeaumustgo. Have you heard of that? Anyway, please subscribe, like, and share. Sharing really helps me out. I thank you for sharing my content. I will see you next time.